As stated by the title, this is a Canon showcase for a Canon, my 255, that I did leak, quote unquote, about some days ago. And I said I would only release the schem 2 weeks later, or if people found out and actually found the Canon on servers that I gave the schem to. Now, I made this Canon on a server, and they somehow, I almost said they teleported to our Canon box. It seemed like they did, but they didn't. Most likely, I was raiding F top 1, yada yada yada, they found Canon. I'll be having a video explaining what happened about that raid later. It'll be posted somewhere this week. But yeah, it's a 255. 3-second button spammer. It can auto. Obviously, all button spammers can be autoed, and vice versa. The schematic will not have a lever. I always state this. Autoing on servers is most likely bannable on the server you're playing. Don't auto unless it allows it. For the server I'm releasing this on, it does not, so the schematic will not have a lever. But it does allow button spammers. And this is a 3-second. Okay. The schem, it will have basic 3 seconds, which is this. Though if you are doing this on Lemon Cloud, I really advise bringing it to 3.2 seconds or 3.1. 3.2 has worked for me, 3.1 may not. So for the demonstration of this video, I'm going to keep it on 3 seconds. It is a Pseudo, 16 holes, 15 TNT per hole. It has a OSRB, which is here. This is toggleable by this lever here. You can reach it from down here. So that means on, indicated by the lamp being on, and that means off, indicated by the lamp being off. It just simply stops the sand from being pushed. This is one-shot sand stacked at the very first piston. Gets put there. This has a ginormous AP, which is able to AP meaning anti-patch. It can anti-patch for 40 chunks. It APs for 40 chunks per shot. And I'll get more to AP later, but this has 1 rev. It does not OSRB with 1 rev on. So whenever you are trying to OSRB, which is an acronym for one-shot regen bust, you simply have to make sure that this toggle block, it does not have a piece of redstone on top. I should just say wool, but a lot of people indicate if you should have redstone here or not. So this indicates that it's on, this indicates that it's disabled. Placing redstone there, and up here is slab bust with these 2 tall dispensers on each side. So if you want slab bust, that is going to be kept on. So people were asking for at least on the last Canon, they were asking for a filter bypass, which is indicated by this here. Now, to explain how this works in more detail is if you're bypassing and you know how many times you want to bypass per wall. So say this is your Canon and you're firing at a regen filter that you want to bypass. There's a wall here and another regen filter with a wall, and then let's just say another regen filter. You don't add all the, let's just say this is Canon, so that dispenser is this entire Canon, and they're the walls that we're firing at. For each regen filter, you want to only have 1 piece of TNT per regen filter, or bypassable block that you're trying to bypass. If you say, okay, the base has 3 regen filters, so I need 3 dispensers going off, which is indicated by the redstone you place on top. It has 15 dispensers. It won't work most likely. So you can have all these activated on these timings if you want, but I would suggest that you only keep it to as many as you need at the moment of time. So although the base may have 3 regen filters on it, you want to make sure that for each time you bust through, so you need to bypass this, you fire, it breaks that wall. This is still going to be there because it will break and then regen back. So now you have 2 bypass blocks that you need to break. So you then enable bypass to 2, which then allows you to break this back block, and now you have 3, and let's just say this back block, this diamond, is the base. So now you enable 3, and you do that for as many bypass blocks, or as many blocks that you want to bypass. For the most part, if you don't need a bypass, keep this off. AP will do just good and just fine if they are trying to patch. Now, you may be wondering what this is. It looks exactly like this. That's because it is. There's a difference between filter bypass in the nether and filter bypass in the overworld. If you're in the overworld using this cannon, you don't need to touch this. You don't need to toggle that on. You don't need to mess with this redstone. If you're in the overworld and you're trying to bypass, all you have to worry about is this bypass option here. Now, if your server does allow nether regens, which Lemon Cloud does, it makes bypassing a little bit more difficult, but just as easy. For this, you just need to enable both bypasses on, and the same rule applies. If you have 3 blocks that you need to bypass, then you enable 3 blocks. So whatever you do over here, you do exactly the same over here, because this is bypass for the hammer and this is bypass for the pseudo and the sand. AP is just going to AP through all of it, so you don't have to have one for it. So just keep that in mind. You do not need this. This is why I did not add bypass to my other cannon, because of this complexity, because people will try to use it in nether, and I didn't have bypass on the hammer. It's easy to add. For each filter, you just add, or for each bypassable block, you add 2 pieces of TNT. One with your pseudo or your nuke, and one with going with your hammer. Changing timings for it. If you're firing close to base, you won't have to change any timings for this. I'm not going to go over bypass in this video. This is just how to use it on this cannon. This cannon shoots 20 chunks in a game tick, 23 chunks in a game tick. So you'll be fine if you build this right up to base and fire. You'll be completely fine. You won't have to worry about it. People don't put filters even like 5 chunks close to the base. So you won't have to worry about changing these timings. Unless you're firing farther, which I don't suggest. This cannon can shoot 75 chunks. I don't suggest trying to max out the range at all. I suggest just trying to fire as close as possible as you need to. Obviously having walls on it so you don't get countered. Because simply due to the fact that the moment you have to try to change these bypass ticks, it starts to get a bit more complicated than just building cannon and firing and toggling stuff on and off. It's kind of understanding the base when you could just, you know, oh, it's on. Now you don't have to worry about certain filters. Let's get this out of the way. For AP to be toggled on, you actually want to toggle 2 pieces of redstone, which is this redstone here toggles the power. If you are firing AP and you are toggling it on and off, always keep the redstone here if you are using AP. Now, if you are toggling on and off AP, then this will stop the TNT from being fired from here, so it won't AP at wall. But you can keep that redstone there when firing cannon. It just uses a lot of TNT for no reason. For my examples, I'm going to keep AP on. When you are regen busting, you cannot have AP on, so I suggest toggling this off. And I also suggest to save TNT, you toggle that redstone off. But we are not regen busting on here, as I will have a video going through a full 20 chunk buffer. I don't want to say full 20 chunk buffer, but a full 20 claims of walls and things you may run into. This here toggles one shot. One shot you can keep on unless you're backstacking. Obviously, anything that busts your sand stack, that does holes in the walls, if you're trying to backstack, take it off. And when you are backstacking, you must take AP off also. Most likely because you will be hitting your stack with your APs, and it has a chance to tunnel through, which you don't want. when you are trying to backstack, I suggest putting on 1 rev, as it does help actually backstack, as it will barrel stack for you. So it will not shoot over your stack like the other cannon would if you fire too close. I have set up a straight line for about 20 chunks, more or less, like 18 chunks of straight up obsidian. On here, I don't know the obsidian durability, but this cannon has a lot of AP on it. So if I count it, 261. Window capture, let's get a calculator out. There you go, it's calculator. Okay, what was our number? 261. Times that by 2, because there's 2 sides. So for each segment of this, it has 2 segments. One that shoots right after power, one that blows up a game tick after this one. So AP equals 1,000 something TNT along with power. So if you don't need to anti-patch, keep anti-patch off. If you need anti-patch, put it on. Pretty simple. If you're regen busting, obviously take off anti-patch like I said. But 512 on Lemon Cloud, your obsidian durability is 8 per, so you just have to divide this by 8. It'll tunnel 65 pieces of obsidian. For my examples, I'm just going to toggle AP on, 1 shot on, and actual AP on. I do not need bypass, slab bust I need, and pseudo is always nice to have. But you can AP and regularly shoot with barrel stack on, though don't barrel stack unless you actually need to, as it does mess up OSRB, so keeping barrel stack off is just a safe thing to do. I'll be shooting 20 shots. Should be more than enough to bust through the base. And I think that's it about cannon. I will be firing with no protection blocks underneath just to showcase that cannon does work. And in the last video, people were asking how to set up barrel. I thought it would be quite easy, as a lot of people do know how to set up barrels now, but for a lot of cannons, you find out, at least for this cannon, barrel you set up either above the daylight sensor or you set it up above the stair, either or. This has 60 block float range for the Y. So you can start here. If you want to make barrel shoot here, you can. You just have to break that block. And then you need to have it facing into a block. So when setting up barrels, calculate your Y value. And then you look over here and you see, okay, this is the float range. And then it goes forward. Now you have 10 chunks, more or less, of floating capability. So you can go 10 chunks out this way and the cannon will still work fine. But you most likely won't be using that at all. I've needed to use it a little bit, but not needed. It's just there for if you want to. So I'm going above daylight sensors as it's the easiest to do. So that's max build range. On Lemon Cloud you can get up to this range not by building but by either lava buckets inside of water or by vertical gen buckets placed on top. So if you have a block there, you just place a vertical gen bucket on top and it should build it just fine. Now that you know it's above daylight sensor, one thing I should mention is that AP needs its own separate barrel, though there's an easy way to calculate this. So from this block there should be 12 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 placed in front of it, and you will be above the daylight sensor. Note that, please and thank you. So you can have barrel like this, and then you can set it up to be like so. So you can build over to the right. So that will get AP towards wall. And for power to be towards wall, you need to make sure this is lined up. So you can place another block there. Now the good thing about having AP on a separate power is you can change the Y value of AP and still have your sand and your hammer still hitting the same Y height while AP is going lower. Now it's just more customizable when firing. I personally like it this way. Other people don't. Fair enough. They like it on the same power as sand, so they save TNT, and it's a bit more simplistic when changing barrel. Whatever. I simply couldn't do that because this cannon has instant hybrid, meaning you won't get stuck on water lava walls, and you can only have a 3-second, and let's just say you can't have a 0.2 second on there, so kind of doing AP on the first power wouldn't really work out. It would work for dry patches, but for regular patching that has water in front, it won't do too well. It won't actually do anything. On to cannon firing. Now that I've explained everything, let's actually fire this. Now the dispenser count for this cannon is 3,641, I believe, with everything enabled. Oh, I hit the wrong one, or the wrong X level. Let me just switch that quickly. 1, 2, 1, 2. That should be correct, I believe. Server's lagging, my bad. There you go. There you go, there's the AP. Wow. Let's go. Oh, I'm so sorry, server. As you can tell, 3.6k TNT kind of hits hard. So now it's just hitting this end wall. Just fine. So AP through every wall. I made some holes in the walls to show that it is shooting through a 1x1. So here, it shot all the way from cannon all the way to this 1x1 and kept on hitting the diamond just to showcase the range. Now to show, I'm not going to show it regen busting right now because I've already recorded, like I said before, me going through a full buffer. Pretty much what you would find on a lot of regen servers. So watering cannon is as any other cannon really works. I mean, simply just water wherever there's a dispenser, but I usually start off with the boosters, so you know that you're actually not missing anything at the end of it, really. It's a thing with boosters and the very back boosters. Usually if your cannon blows up at the end, you probably missed a booster. I'm doing sand comp, you may as well do all of it. So there is a booster in here that you may forget. I believe those are all the, nope, one more. There you go. That should be all the back boosters, I believe. There's one booster in the center, I forgot. There's actually 2 in the center. 2 main boosters that boost everything. Make sure you get those. That booster there, and then that booster there. Sand comp is all good so far. And then it's just this. You can break into the side. Up to the top. Gonna have to hold shift and hold space. Gonna be your best bet here. Let's fill it back up. Honestly, it doesn't matter for this class here, it's just aesthetics. Same thing for this. It's probably better if you break one down below instead of going up here, because if there was water here as a water source, it would just flow out and destroy all the redstone down there. at least majority of it that's on the ground. So you do this, it just doesn't flow out. I filled this booster, right? Yeah. Do I recommend this cannon to people? No. I just said I would release this. You know, it's not going to beat other 255s, but I mean, like, what other 255 do you know that has OSRB with an AP that shoots 3 seconds and has 15 TNT per pseudo hole? Is capable of shooting 20 chunks a game take? Yeah, not many, because not many people think that you may need it, because you honestly don't, because you honestly shouldn't. But there's an over glorified 255. So those are all the big main components. So then watering barrel is simply placing water up here. You know, you could just place water on top of the trapdoor and it'll be fine. But if you just put 4 there, and then you're just as good. For this one, just those will do there. And I think that's about it, really. I mean, it's pretty simple. All the stuff in between gets watered. It's all watered. You don't need a water in there. It's useless because only sand is getting shot into there. This little hole down here. Get into here. Now, I always say it's not necessary to put water here, but there is a pseudo and a lot of TNT getting shot right there. So 2 things like so will do just a little bit more security, just in case you fire 1 too many shots and this just so happened to have more TNT, then a booster over here, and then it blows up in that air gap. In here you don't really have to do anything, but you can water it. There's no harm in doing so. And that should be all of the cannon watered. I mean, pretty fast. Just double checking any other places. In here maybe. No, that's fully watered. Yeah, that's entire cannon filled. And just to make sure, I'll fire with everything on. Let me just toggle everything. Even stuff I don't need, I'm just gonna put it on. I guess I got AP power. And then those are already turned on. Turn on OSRB and then fire again. So far everything seemed to fire, so should be fine. Yeah. So that dropped down by 1. So yeah, nothing gets clogged, everything's good. I'll fire it without bypass now to show you that the cannon still does work. You can keep this bypass on, it doesn't affect, with these timings, it doesn't actually affect the shot. So, but I'll take it off for now. Now you can keep OSRB on when you are having other stuff on, it just won't OSRB. So, I'm going to take it off right now. And that should be enough sand. It drops 8. That's 10. There should be 2 left. There you go. Hopefully you like the cannon. There will be 2 schems. There will be 3 schems actually, because there's going to be 4 schems. Oh jeez. There's going to be 1 with water, 1 without water, There's going to be one with water that's all cobble, and one without water that is all cobble. So hopefully that should satisfy you guys' needs about the actual schem. Other descriptions about the cannon will be in the description. In all my cannon videos that I am having a schem in, there will be more stuff in the description that I may have not explained in the video, and some better specifications so you don't have to watch through the video again. I honestly didn't want to release this cannon, but I mean, I kind of did at the same time, as it's always fun to see my cannons being used. Now, I should note that it's a big cannon. You don't use this cannon on every single base. It's meant for really good bases, unless you want to use 3.6k a shot, which I can tell you right now is 3.664. So to give you an example of how much that would be, 3.664, so you have to shoot 160 times because it's a normal flat wall base. That's about half a mil, 600k TNT if you round up. I always want to round up. That's for the entire base. So say you're shooting double that, well, you're using 1.1 to 1.2 TNT. Of course, if you take off AP, it does significantly reduce the amount of TNT you're using. Let me just grab that number quickly. $2,023. So you're lowering 1.6k more or less of TNT if you just disable the AP. So to each their own. Use this cannon discreetly and have fun with it. I mean, I've shown you how to use it. I've shown you what toggles what on and what's off. If you have any problems with the cannon, please comment down below in the comments, as I do try to read them and I always try to respond to them. And have fun raiding.